Good evening and welcome to the Town of Auburn Planning Board meeting of Tuesday, January 14th, 2020, now called to order at 7 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by Local Access Programming. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that's recording the meeting? Okay, there being none, please rise and join us in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I'd like to remind the audience, applicants, town administration, and each of the planning board members to please refrain from asking questions in regards to all matters discussed this evening without first being granted my consent. First item tonight is the authorization not required for St. Thomas Episcopal Church at 35 School Street. Adam, did you have anything you wanted to say about that?
The church is looking to sell off the property that's on the back side of the property, so looking to basically split the property in half.
The house on Winchester Ave?
Yeah. So this is the existing rectory, this is the church, and this will be the new wall line.
So that existing shed stays on the church property?
Yes,
Okay.
it's got the 10-foot buffers.
Any concerns with that? No. Steve?
No.
Scott?
No.
All set. Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to open the door. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. You're going to sign that right now, right?
Because wait.
And we have another agenda.
How many copies are there? How many copies are there?
A couple extra.
Yes. You're welcome. So this was the approval way back in the day, put it.
I'll ask for it, so yeah, give everybody a copy.
That never happened.
Yeah, I know.
That never happened. Who was responsible for that?
We'll need to figure out how we're gonna attack that one, 'cause something about the modification also.
how it was.
17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Never has been.
Normally that stuff's caught in use in the Nashville, but for whatever reason it was never caught.
Is there statute of limitations on that?
Double check.
Why? What about these guys? Is it that?
Thanks for showing. Only on the field.
We'll see.
Caleb is the one to really know that. Usually, what I understand, we get sign off when it's get an occupancy. Any outstanding stuff should be addressed at the time. So I don't know what exactly on, but
Yeah, but it all hinged on the traffic light at Hill and Albert Street,
Yeah.
and turn around and jug handle at the intersection. That was just completed when?
Exactly. It says you can move the left and decelerate outside.
Right,
People making sense.
right. Because that whole thing changed because of Mass DOT. This hasn't changed. Okay. Yeah, you didn't get that, did you? Yeah, I didn't get it either. I asked for it today. No. Yeah. They were all, it's all. So that one is happening tonight. Beacon Street update. I'm gonna sign the special permit. You wanna do that one too?
I'll do that.
Might as well.
that's, yeah.
Was this after the updated plans that we got?
Yeah, they just glanced at the updated plans
Okay.
this afternoon. Yeah, last week.
Yeah. So where did my photos go? That's that.
Excuse me, Adam. Now that they've signed those, do I need to stay?
Nope, just take 2 copies. No. What?
So there's small copies, you keep them all, the 11
Yeah. Mylar, for the registry of deeds. Take those. It's copies for the registry of deeds.
Well, what, explain that one. The attorney does that. Everybody else does. Answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so Eversource requesting site plan approval under 3.2.4.0 of the Auburn zoning bylaws for public or private utility facility on property located at 7, 8, 10, and 12 West Tech Drive, Auburn, Mass. Map 27, parcels 20, 21, 23, and 24. Hi.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Todd Broder from Fletcher Tilton here on behalf of Eversource. Sitting to my left is Katie Gagnon, the site and civil engineer from Langen. We have other members of the Eversource team here. I'm not sure you'll hear from them tonight, but if you do, I'll have them introduce themselves so we can get going here. You may recall back in December, we had reasonably lengthy discussions about our site plan. We were left with a number of kind of questions, comments, substantially from Mr. Regan. We like his diligence, and we had a lot of questions from him. Katie put together a letter responding to those points, which we hope is all encompassing, and also a plan set revision, which was submitted to Adam a few weeks back. So we have those items. We're happy to address those to the extent that they're still outstanding. I'm not sure if Mr. Regan's had an opportunity to take a look at those plans and if we've answered those questions. I'm not sure we want to go through line items on those, so I'll leave it to him to raise additional questions on that at any point. So in addition to that, we received from the engineering department a couple of bullet point comments, and maybe I'll have Katie just address those.
Sure. Can I borrow my
Yeah.
pen? So just to go through the latest comments, the steep portion of the gravel in the training area, we converted to pavement. We did include those areas as pavement in our latest iteration of the drainage, which was included in our response memo. And just to flag that we did relook at our drainage to address the concern of the neighbor to ensure that there was we micro reviewed the watersheds to make sure there was no impact to his property as a result of our project. So that's all inclusive of the additional pavement. He still questioned the Mass DOT or the signs on Route 20. We are coordinating with Mass DOT. It's a state road, so we'll defer to them on the signage. We've talked to them. That was after we issued this letter, so they did confirm the non-access permit to 90 wasn't required as well. And something else that was outstanding in this memo is the sewer question, but we did speak to Bill Coyle today, and he was not concerned about flow from our site and the capacity of the pump station. So that also resolved. And in terms of phase construction, we can work with him and building inspector on what kind of phasing plan they would be looking for, I think would be the simplest answer. So that's...
Yeah, so those are the sort of last points from Bill and his department. So, at this point, we don't have any additional changes or updates or any additional information for you, so we're open to questions or comments.
Steve?
Not at this time? I have not at this time.
Scott? Mr. Burns?
Are all your areas where you're going to be parking vehicles, whether they're employees or your own vehicles, they're all asphalted?
There are some gravel parking spaces in the training yard.
Well, it's my opinion that they need to be asphalted. And do all your parking lots have oil and water separators and all the drainage approved?
The drainage does have water quality units, yes, for the parking lots.
Is that the same as oil and water?
They do a job.
It's a little fancier than an oil water separator, but it functions the same. It will remove the oil from the water.
But I'm not defending them, but I think the gravel parking areas are up in the areas where they're gonna work on Lake Street and stuff like that.
Yes.
So they're gonna just be digging up the road. That Lake Street is a gravel road. They imitate a leak. The crew has to find it with a leak finder, dig it up and repair it with compressed air. So they're not gonna pave that, but they're gonna park there as well. So it doesn't make sense to pave that. LA other stuff, yes.
In the whole, all that existing pavement by the building today is remaining paved.
So where the brunt of the vehicles are parked?
Correct.
paved.
It's only if someone was at a training, in the training area, that they would even park potentially in the gravel area. It's not like a daily,
No, but that gets dug up all the time, the training area, so either putting poles in the ground or digging up gas mains, so.
And your roads in between the different elevations are all paved?
well, this is a slightly outdated site rendering, but we, at the request, converted the steeper areas through here where it's a steeper slope to pavement versus gravel, but the rest is gravel, as we originally showed. So it's just in the steeper 10% slope areas that we went to pavement.
That's what Bill was worried about, was the steep
Yeah.
areas. And they needed to be paved in the last week.
You all set?
I'd like to go and look at the site again.
Okay.
You also have questions?
Yep.
John?
Yeah, I got a couple,
Okay.
of course.
We depend on it.
It'll be the same, On sheet CS 501, site details one. I just have a question where it says saw cut pavement section.
Yes?
Is it the intent to cut back the pavement and leave the base where you tie in? Because the way that zigzag line's drawn, I don't know what the line through the gravel means and all that. I have no idea what that means.
Well, I mean, ideally, you cut it at an angle and then recompact the gravel at the saw cut line. Is that your question?
No, it looks like, if you look at the top left of your dark line
Yes.
with the dimension of 12 inches,
Oh, sorry.
right there,
Yes.
it looks like you're trying to take the top of the pavement off.
Right, like sort of key
Oh, you're
into
gonna
it.
key that? Okay. I was gonna say, if you're peeling it,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen. And the angle line down is just illustrating where you may have to excavate?
Right.
Okay. And your concrete pad on CS 502? Everybody's doing it ways in the middle, but I would suggest stone instead of gravel, but that's up to you.
Okay.
Not my own. Just when you put stone in, it's 95% compact without touching it. CG 501. It looks like the bottom left access manhole. Is that access manhole to the underground drainage system?
Yes.
Okay. And then, just a correction on spelling. Storm manhole, it's Groove, not Grove. And the, where it says the base, 4-foot minimum, on the left side of that storm manhole, that should go to the bottom of the base? I don't know,
Yeah, that's just.
correct? And then, in your response, you said that you corrected the electrical trench on CU 501, that you're gonna concrete the utility. That didn't get changed.
You're right. It was,
And
Apologizing.
it's okay. And then on CE 501, toward the bottom right, composite filter tube and silt fence. That still says folded underneath that.
Well, we added a note because it's a product detail, so we couldn't amend it. So we did add the note to the side that the silt fence shall be embedded at minimum 6 inches below grade. It's to the, if you look at the detail, it's right here. I know it's kind of hard to see, we just couldn't, it's not our detail. It's just next to the words composite to the left.
I got you.
Oh, it's been several years. Seems like a long time, maybe not as long as I'm thinking.
And one other thing I didn't see off the top of my head was the HDPE pipe connection to the concrete manhole.
Oh, we
Did you
did
understand?
add a note about that. I also confirmed you were the first person that had ever asked, and it was covered in our specs, but we did add a note to mortar filled joint on the,
That's only in drainage, correct? Because on the sewer manholes, it's a boot. I think that's all I had.
Did you have something else?
Adam, on Joanna's letter dated today, she states that the steep portions of the gravel driveways within the training area have been revised to show pavement to prevent erosion as discussed at the December 10th Planning Board meeting. We defer to Graves Engineering to confirm that there has been no impact to stormwater runoff as a result of the increased impervious area or other modifications to the site. So, are you going to do that with Graves too? Go over it with them?
We can compare them. I haven't sent them the final plans that we have. If the board would like me to send this back to Graves, I'm happy to do that, just to check on that detail.
Maybe. So you're saying you're not going to do it?
I can do that.
You
That's-
can do it to check on
that's
that final
the
details.
board's request, yeah.
I think we should, because she
It's-
recommends it.
It's a small area, but that's the board's pleasure, then we can do that.
And confirmation from Bill that the pump station can handle the project.
he did verbally say it today, but.
Right. You really like to get that.
No, I understand.
Let me ask a question. The amount of area you've increased on paving, have you increased any pervious area to balance
No.
that?
We
Just like That
offset-
would just be a trade.
No, but we, like I said, we modified our drainage significantly in this resubmission to put the underground detention system over there on behalf of the neighbors concerned, which in doing that encompassed the additional impervious area. And to be truthful, we jacked up a little bit on the impervious surface over there. Anyhow, less additional concrete pads or anything got installed, that it would be covered in our drainage. So personally, I feel confident that it's included, but
Do you have the approximate square footage of what we're actually converting from gravel to pavement?
Just be-
I'm not good at doing math off the top of my head.
I am. You know the length of the driveway and the width?
That
There's
would be
three of them,
wrong.
right?
Yeah, so it's 20 feet wide and about 100 feet, so call it 800.
20 feet wide by 100?
Yeah, and there's 3 of them, so I guess that would
That's
be.
600 square
Yeah.
feet, so
So 600 square feet of additional paved
impervious.
surface.
From gravel, so it's not even as bad as if it was grass, so, but
True. And how much did you increase the drainage?
we added an underground detention system on the training side too. Like I said, we.
Will that receive the water from the additional paved areas? I don't see a problem with that. Personally, I don't think you need to go to Graves and spend more money. I think they've covered that with the additional,
It's only 600 feet.
it's only 600 square feet, so it's not like they're putting up 6,000.
Any comment from the public? Neighbors, abutters? No? Okay.
Motion to close, if you're ready.
Anything else, Steve?
I don't know if they're built.
You know what he was gonna ask?
Vote tonight, right? Ronnie will look a chance to do it before. Yes.
I just want to make one more comment.
Oh, sure.
When you motor up your HDPE pipe to the manhole, it's drainage, so I really don't care, it's gonna leak, just so you know. It's not a water tight connection, it'll keep the silt and stuff out. Drainage, if it catches groundwater, that's fine with me. All set.
Through the chair, can we condition the Bill's written confirmation?
Yep.
What were you looking for from Bill?
The sewer.
The sewer.
The
did.
confirmation from Bill Foyle
Will we confirm with the water?
and about the pump station, right? Isn't
Yeah,
that-
that's what we talked to him about today. It
Pump
just isn't in
station.
writing, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
What about the water, wasn't the water supply in question too?
No.
No, I
No.
don't think the water supply
No,
was
that's
ever
right.
in. Yeah, that was never in.
Okay.
I have to say, I'm a little taken aback by the response to the kind of safety things that we've asked for, coming and going on Route 20, like, trucks and left turn only or right turn only and that kind of thing, and they just poo-poo. You, in your response, say that the 30 accidents that were responded to by local police was around when FedEx was in operation. And then, no, we don't need to have a right turn only, or we don't need to have a, truck turning traffic, or, it just seems kind of,
That's all DOT-driven thresholds and guidelines.
Well,
so-
Well, I apologize
Yes.
if it came across that
Yes,
way.
it is.
Are you suggesting the way we responded?
yeah, it's just,
Well,
in one breath, you're saying, yep, there were 30 accidents there over a 5-year timeframe, and yep, it was when FedEx was there. And whether it meets a Mass DOT threshold or not, it would be, nice to just put a sign that says right turn only when exiting the site, in an effort to keep people from trying to cross and take the left-hand turn onto Route 20. You say yourself in the letter that, all of the accident happened when FedEx was operating there. So, it just seemed a little, oh, okay, well, yeah, there's accidents, but
Well, I
okay.
think what we meant in all of that is, when we go to DOT, we ask for these things, and they say, well, you don't meet the threshold, you don't meet the warrant. It's a state road, so we can't necessarily tell them what to do. So we will request it, and we're happy to, and we'll continue that conversation.
They're
guess
currently
the-
reviewing it right now, and I think the 30 accidents was supposed to sound like not a
Not
lot,
a
so I
lot.
know it's just sort of what
Right.
your perspective is.
Yeah.
It doesn't show up as a troubled intersection on any place, so I know it sounds like a lot, but in
Yeah.
the scheme of things,
And I'm
so
sorry,
it-
but
it
we're not
wasn't-
doing a traffic study, and we're not doing this, and it just seemed like, we're not really,
Well, and we have subsequently spoken to DOT, so just, we hadn't had all those conversations when we responded, trying to get it back. So they are currently reviewing that
Mass
in the
DOT
truck.
is?
Yes. So we talked to Christopher Chambers and CC Joe Frawley on it. So they are currently reviewing the sign potential at that
Okay.
intersection.
And I think when we spoke last, I'm not sure if we said it or not, but from the outset, when Eversource started talking about this project, we talked about it at DCG. I mean, the preference would be something other than what's currently configured there.
Sure.
If we could have a light, we might, Eversource has talked about, sure, that would be potentially a better situation for them, their employees. But again, it's just driven by
That's up to the
a
state.
It doesn't
force other
warrant
than
it.
us, right?
And just one other thing on the accidents, there was just a question that came up from Bill last time, if the accidents that we noted in our traffic study were inclusive of the local traffic police response or only the DOT. So I think that was the only other, it wasn't supposed to sound
Yeah.
bad, but
That's no problem, only 30 accidents.
right, so we're waiting on a response from Mass DOT. Something from Bill Coyle in writing.
Yeah,
Mr. Brooks would like to go to the site with Mr. Coyle and just review the steep areas.
Just review it
and the
all.
pavement. Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
So if I might make a comment on that.
Sure.
As far as, getting a response from DOT, I mean, I think whatever direction they send us in, if they'll allow us to put that truck turn sign there, we'll do it. If they want to put a traffic light in, we'll work with them on that. But right now, that's outside our control. Frankly, I think outside your control. So I think waiting for an answer from DOT doesn't really serve a purpose for what we're doing here. The issue with the sewer capacity there, I mean, if you could condition the approval based on him suggesting that that's not a problem, that'd be fine with us.
And what is it what's the main focus of the site?
I just want to go over it with Bill.
Okay.
So how soon could that be done?
As soon as I can get him, and who wants to meet me there can meet him almost anytime.
Okay.
Can we condition it on Ron and Bill's revisit to the site and the sewer letter?
Yeah, we can add that into the condition.
Yeah.
So we get it done in a week? You're off and running.
I guess I'm not really understanding if Mr. Brooks goes to the site and sees something that he doesn't understand or whatnot, we can't offer more testimony if the hearing's closed. So I mean, I'm happy to go along. I'm not sure what the
Continue
what the
it till the
request is.
next,
No, I don't want to continue.
oh,
What's the
I mean, we have standing building permit, requests in with Caleb that we've been discussing, and we've got a hopeful occupancy date of the building, sometime summer this year. This is a project that really kind of needs to move along, if you will, and
and this is a process, so we have to make sure we satisfy concerns.
Yeah, it's one vote out of the whole, so to condition the approval, one vote might not swing it, so I don't think procedurally we could with that condition. So do we want to take a vote or do we want to continue? I personally don't need to go back to the site. We put them off for the holiday. I'm satisfied with the letters I see here.
Okay. We close the hearing, that's it.
Whatever everybody wants to do.
Okay. So we make a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Can I just ask one question, Todd?
Sure.
If Ron takes the time and goes out there with Bill Coyle and they have a concern, they can address it with you and her, and you'll take care of it.
I would just point, if the request changed to the whole area getting paved or something, I mean, that would be a pretty significant.
I think if there was anything, it'd be very
I
minor.
thought you said
Okay.
earlier that almost everything was paved. Gonna be
Not in the training yard.
except the training area.
Right.
Right, everything else is paved, and it's
And
just a
John
very
explained
steep
that what
area.
goes on there, so is that right with
Right.
that?
Right.
Yep.
I mean, to your
If they're
point, I
digging
think
it up and-
it's a fairly large project. There's going to be plenty of interaction between Caleb and Bill and the like, so.
Things gonna come up that weren't thought of, they always do. Things you're gonna find out there that nobody knew was there.
Certainly Eversource wants to be a good neighbor and put together a good project, so if there are ways to improve that, that makes sense. Well, you know how to get in touch with us.
I'm sorry.
All set? Anybody all set? Entertain a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve
With the condition.
with the conditions. that
With the
we provide.
condition.
The sewer
The
condition. Water.
Bill,
Okay.
Bill,
Yeah,
Yep.
just on the sewer.
okay, and that's in regard the water pump station.
The sewer pump
Sewer
station.
pump station, yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, do you have your standard condition, form, sometimes utilize? Just wanted to look at the hours, construction hours,
8 to 4, 8 to 5,
Monday through Saturday.
and half a day on Saturday.
Half a day on Saturday, yeah.
Is it a possibility to extend that Saturday to the full day on Saturday? 8 to 4:30 on Saturday.
I think you have a better shot at starting at 7 and working until 5.
Okay. 7 to 5 Monday through Friday. Weekends 7 to 12.
8 to 12.
8 to 12.
Yeah, 8 to 12 on Saturday.
Because 7
Are
is
there
a
any
normal
other
start for a
conditions?
construction site.
Just all approvals.
7 to 5?
Yeah.
7 to 5 Monday through Friday, Saturday 8 to noon. No work on Sundays and holidays. Abide by all approvals and conditions. Developed in accordance with the approved plan.
And by holidays, do we mean town holidays? Like Martin Luther King Day, Patriots Day? Or are we just talking about the 7 majors? I don't know that.
That's a good question. That's never come up before.
Bank holidays. Don't worry about it.
Every other
That means you
day.
get them all.
I mean, they may be the
It's
same
7
holidays
major
that Eversource
holidays, right?
observes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like Washington's birthday.
7 major holidays. We should clarify that on there. 24 by 36 as-built plan.
Trying to get the construction guys no face on, so.
That's it,
Yeah.
right?
Only a handful.
Sunday.
Standard.
So,
Yeah.
you want to just,
Saturday.
like the numbers of them, 1, 3, 5, whatever it is.
Yeah, the conditions on your list, Todd, will be 1 with the alteration of the time, 7 to 5, Monday through Friday, and 8 to noon on Saturday. No work on Sundays, and the 7 major holidays. 2, applicant shall abide by all approvals, state and town boards and commissions, develop in accordance with the plan. That's number 3. 4, site lighting standards, be conform to. 5, the as-built plan will be submitted when complete. And 6 is the Asian quarantine condition. I'll have to check to see if you're actually in the quarantine area. I don't
Okay.
think you'll have any trouble with that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So, entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Made the motion, second.
Second.
Scott? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Thank you very much.
Impact Fitness, right? You said they're going to be here tonight?
No, they're not.
They're not. Okay, Impact Fitness has been continued
January 28th.
to the
January
next
28th.
January
They're
28th.
working, they got their approvals from conservation and from ZBA. They're working on the final site plans. We should have them up for next time.
Okay, Matt. Pardon?
Was CGT continued?
Yes, that's also been,
CGT is continued, yep,
I'm gonna open those now.
yep. Thank you for pointing that out.
CGT.
That's the
Dunkin's.
Dunkin' Donut at 711 Southwood Street.
Oh.
Near the AMF Jewelers.
Yep.
I thought he said July.
Oh, okay, I thought it was like.
I thought he said July, yeah. So Mass 10 Enterprises LLC requesting site plan approval under section 3.2.5.2 and 3.2.5.3, the Auburn zoning bylaws for restaurant use and special permit under section 3.9.2.2 for drive-through service use Starbucks on property located at 824 Southwood Street, Auburn, Mass, map 66, parcel 148. Yep. Pardon?
You want to hold, continue those now? or
Thank
later?
you, yeah, I'll do it now. Entertain a motion to continue the CGT hearing to January 28th.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to continue Impact Fitness, Andrew Lawton requesting modification of existing site plan.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Massett Family LLC, continue to January 28th.
Yes, they go into conservation for their certificate of compliance next week, so, but that's good.
Okay.
We'll have some variances next time.
That'll be continued to January 28th. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that takes care of that. Thank you. Take those out. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, Mass 10. Hello again. All right, we have a new concept. So when you pull in, you see drive-through and it has that arrow. Are you proposing that that center aisle is coming out and that's going to now become a, no?
No, that's just a visual to let people know they're, to get into the queue lane, they're gonna get into that next row there and continue to the drive-through.
So they're still going to be going through, well, yeah, that'd be great.
I've got a colored version of that same site plan.
Great, perfect. Okay.
So the changes that we've made are all in where the drive-through exits. We haven't really changed anything else in the site plan. So cars would still circulate around, come through, but rather than going straight out and making a right and a left, I have the cars exiting into the parking area where they'd make a left and go straight across. You know, it was something that we kind of talked a little bit about at the last meeting, one thing that we could change. It is kind of a tight turn, a little bit more unusual than going straight out into the drive aisle, but I've had a similar configuration on a bank exiting drive-through on a project I worked in, and it does work.
But the cars are still going to be driving up through that other, you say that this is just everybody owns that parking lot and everybody can park everywhere and,
There are,
How is that?
No, they have to have a...
yeah, so the owner of the parcel that owns the entire site, they're in 3 different entities. It's under a common ownership. There's cross easements for parking in access, as well as utilities. So it essentially functions as one site, although there are property lines that divide the land area.
There's no way you're going to convince me that you should be able to come in off Southbridge Street, take a left and go through the turning aisle of Chili's, what I consider to be Chili's parking area, okay? That just doesn't work, and I will
No.
be totally opposed
If
to
this
it.
property line were right here, would that make a difference
If
to
the
you?
property line was there and that piece went with the Starbucks building, okay. You got black lines on them, it's clear to see, okay, that each parcel is delineated of what it is, okay? And Taco Bell's over here and the other one's here. Maybe they got cross easements and whatever they got. But to come in through that, and it's just like a liability to the town with all the people that go to Chili's and the way that parking lot is jammed on weekends. Little kids are crossing, and it would be a liability to us to have cars going into a drive-through, coming up through there, and people crossing more than what's there. I'm just totally
If I
opposed to
can,
it.
kind of the history of the project, I know that you may recall, you know, this was one time, all one property was a truck stop.
I know what it
You know,
was.
the purchase, the town went out to bid with it. They sold it in 2 different pieces because of the environmental cleanup that was coming up. It was always envisioned to be one property. And it was always one property, and it was developed at different times, and that's why the black lines came in. But it's always been one property, it's always functioned as one property. The planning board required 1 access, didn't allow 3 separate accesses on Route 20. So that's kind of the history of how we got here.
It's
Regarding
still
the-
to direct the traffic or allow it to be directed as part of the queuing line that goes in and feeds your window. It just doesn't work for me. I don't even see how you can want to do it, but that's up to you.
Based on where the property line is?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and you also would, you know, this site has been constructed in accordance with a site plan that was approved by this board, where this was a double drive-through for a bank, and the queuing would have been the same. The other thing that we've done since the last meeting, we did reach out to the DOT and asked if a permit would be required if they had any comments. I apologize for getting the information late, but we had to do some counts and some other things. So I sent over some correspondence and a memo that we completed to Adam. Basically, we asked if a permit was required if they had any comments. We responded that before they could decide if a permit was required, then they'd like to see some trip generation counts as how compared to what was approved. So we did that. We went out and we did some traffic movement counts at the driveways. And Green International put together a memo summarizing, what the projected trips would be with the actual counts, projecting Starbucks counts, and comparing to what was approved. So in summary,
What was
We did
approved
that.
in 2002? Is that what you're referring to?
2006.
2006?
yes, so.
Adam, you can,
So I've got a few, copies here that you can look at, and I can put a summary in. Again, I know that this was late information, but, here's a few that you can distribute. Yes, in summary of that,
Yeah, we're not going to read this right now, so.
yes, we did the traffic counts. We added the trip generation for Starbucks and compared it with approvals. The findings were in the PM peak, traffic will be 25% less than what the approved project would have generated. The Saturday midday, there'll be an 8.5% increase, about 33 vehicles higher than what was projected to be the PM peak. The morning traffic was not discussed in the original approvals, which made sense because there wasn't a morning traffic generator, and the westbound traffic on Route 20, that's when it's at its lightest.
So
I
these
guess-
property lines that you're now showing on here, are those real property lines? I mean, are those just how they envisioned it being carved up?
They,
Because it's one parcel, correct?
it's one parcel. Those are separate taxed property lines.
So there are three separately taxed properties within that one parcel?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Who owns all three lots?
Two of them are owned by Mass 10 LLC. One is owned by Mass 10 Enterprises LLC. And I think the reason was because originally there was a partnership involved in the Chili's when it was going to be a different restaurant. When that restaurant didn't go forward, it was retained by one owner, and it's controlled by a single person.
Through the chair, just have a, what are the peak hours of, and I think we went over this at the last time or the time before that, what were the peak hours of Chili's, the evening hours, and then the afternoon hours, correct? Like the mid-afternoon?
Yeah, so first, the Route 20 peak hour, it's very low traffic westbound in the morning.
Right.
It is nearly double the amount of traffic in the afternoon. Saturdays is somewhere in between. It's less than the weekday PM peak. The peak hours for Chili's is the weekday PM. I think that
Plus Saturdays and Sundays.
right, but their peak, when their traffic is the highest, or the roadways that the traffic is the highest, is on the weekday PM. And that's kind of outlined in the memo as well. Morning, we've discussed morning at length, where it would basically only be Starbucks or operating, and some of the managers or cleaning people going into the other buildings. Saturday is similar to, the amount of traffic for the project is similar on Saturdays, but the roadway traffic is lighter. Yeah, we have, actually, we're higher on Saturday, but the roadway is lighter. I can also say that I personally did the traffic counts. I've been out there for 8 hours now during the peak periods. Exiting vehicles, the maximum time someone was there during that 8-hour period was 10 seconds. That occurred, I think, 2 or 3 times in the afternoon peak. Most times, people are there for between 1 and 5 seconds. So, and that's with the development, and then we add the Starbucks on top of that. It's not going to cause a backup at that intersection. Vehicles are freely getting out onto that access, mostly because of the traffic signal that's directly upstream, creating gaps. I think a total of 8 times there were 2 vehicles at that exit, and that the second vehicle was only there for maybe 2 seconds. It wasn't a full 10-second, where a third vehicle was being queued ready to block the intersection.
So
You guys all see the letter from Joanna Austin, the chief of police.
to somewhat reiterate some of the points that we made last time, we put a slide together and shared that last time of 10 or 11 drive-throughs around town, showing that the queue length on this particular drive-through was, the longest of the lot, would be the longest of any within the town of Auburn, over 400 feet of queue length before it would impact on South Ridge Street or Route 20 and 12.
Does that include the parking lot, the cars sitting in the parking lot?
It does.
It does.
It includes
Okay.
it includes to the point of impacting the roadway. That drive-through, again, is in excess of 400 feet, longest in the town. We talked about the pinch point there at the entrance exit, and we talked about why we can't have additional curb cuts on this site. We hit on that point, so what we decided to do was try to make modifications to the drive-through exit area there to try to make it a clearer, movement, less boggle down there, if you will. And that's what the swinging motion is intended to do there. We feel like they're from Pat's data on the trip generation and the counts and the actual on-site conditions, that we're not going to have the amount of cars stacked up at that exit trying to get right onto Route 20 at the same time you have cars trying to enter the site and getting left and going through the drive-through lane. We don't feel like that backup or that pinch is going to occur. Some of the people entering the site won't be using the drive-through. In fact, I believe the data from Starbucks said 50% service through the drive-through, 50% service through the store. So you're going to have cars entering and parking in those spaces that are closest to the Starbucks facility and then walking in. So that's 50% of the people coming to utilize the Starbucks. The other 50% are going to use the drive-through. And there's at least, what's the queue? It's at least 20 cars from Southbridge Street into the point of service. And they get through about, what do we say, one every 45 seconds or so is serviced at the drive-through window. That would then need to exit the site. If you had another one exiting from the walk-ins, if you will, the people that parked, you have 2 cars exiting in a 45-second span while they're busiest, which is AM weekday when the traffic on 20 is the lightest.
You're saying
So-
you'll be served within 45 seconds at the window at a Starbucks?
That's what they suggest would be their model, is that you get served that quickly.
That's not from when you make your order or you're waiting in the line, that's
Just
You're
at the
sitting at the
window.
window.
at the window.
Sitting at the window.
Yeah,
Right.
sitting at the window,
Okay.
or, with the car
And it's
pulled
what
in.
they say.
Yeah. Nick?
Well,
Rita?
I think my point though is that they're not churning them out like Dunkin' Donuts or some other operations, and so the traffic leaving the site, which I think is the concern, having to stop at that stop sign and trying to get right onto Route 20, it's a matter of a few cars every minute. Pat's talking about the release time from that stop sign is on average, it's less than that.
Probably 3 or 4
Significantly
seconds.
less than that.
Okay. Nick?
Well, just to comment on the last point that you made, so just so I have an understanding of it, I'm guessing that the time between one car leaves Starbucks and goes out is plenty of, but before the next car comes behind them is hypothetically 45 seconds.
Right, on average.
Ideal,
Yeah.
right? And then that person at that point is already
Gone.
Yeah.
because the longest in the 8-hour period that you were there was 10 seconds, right?
Yes.
So that would be 4 times as long if they're actually ideal. The second question on something that you had mentioned is you said 50% of the customers park in the spots that go in, right?
Yeah, saw that.
That's in the middle
And all that work.
stall right there, correct? The middle set
Yeah.
of stalls
Yeah.
that we now be exiting into, correct?
Right,
Yeah.
so that could be
I just want to make sure
either,
I'm looking at it correctly.
well, it could be either the front
Right, those ones right there or the
or
ones in there.
these ones. Yeah.
I guess through the chair, the changes that you made, if you don't mind me saying, it seems like it would kind of prohibit some of those folks from parking. I mean, they're coming in here, they'd be like kind of cutting off traffic now spilling into those parking spots. So if it had that high density of people coming into the facility, that change might negatively impact that. Because now they're, you know, you exit in there, you have a car who's trying to get in there to park, another guy back, you know. I'm just a little concerned about that particular setup causing that problem, making a bigger problem.
I mean, we prefer the original design. This was meant to be responsive to
Yeah, I
the
just,
comments.
from what you were saying, I just want to make sure I'm putting it together, what I would look at.
Larry, right now, the cars, the first line of cars closest to where, like, you gotta drive up with the red car in it. Isn't that against the building, those parking spaces? Is there that alleyway there?
Yes.
Yes.
It
Yeah,
was
I drove it.
constructed with
I
a
drove it
two-lane
like 4 times,
drive-through.
and I still,
It was constructed with a two-lane drive-through in anticipation that that a bank would occupy as permitted in 2006. That didn't happen, but those spaces that's existing conditions.
Just like the outside of Bank of America down here.
Right.
yeah, because I had looked at it and said if that first bigger island there, if you went in and went up there and around, it looked like it could still swing it. But, did you see this, Larry? I want to show that
Sure,
from Wendy.
yes, absolutely.
Read,
Todd.
just look at it. It's got to do with something a little different. It's about the gate on Maple Street, but well, we're going to be talking about it. That was back in 2000.
Right, this was 2002, the site plan approval in 2002.
Yeah, that's why I said 2002. I thought that's when the site plan approval was.
Yeah, then-
But I think I think it shows a second approval on the last 2 pages. But I'm just saying, it's the stuff that talks about the Maple Street gate and having it
special
blocked
permit.
after a certain, was good for use for about a year till the improvements were done or till something else happened and we got the jug handle and the divided highway and all that stuff. So essentially, unless the petitioner or owner wanted to petition the planning board on some other conditions on number 5.
The gate, this is speaking
Yeah.
about the gate.
I thought that there was a provision to come back.
There is some.
This is the condition from 06.
Because I think it came in August and then back in September.
Okay. I would think that the applicant would want to come back, in the terms of this condition. I know that, my experience has been very, very little traffic uses that,
Because I remember we were pretty positive about wanting it to be used and directed, and that's why we conditioned it with that, like, 1-year thing.
Okay.
You can get it, you got another copy of that, man? I mean,
Yeah.
Adam? Okay. We'll keep that, Larry, for
No, there isn't anything.
Yeah.
Isn't it, when you go past this site, right? You're talking about the jug handle and the turnaround. The next light is the backside going into Ronnie's, correct?
The next, you do the jug handle and come back up and it's Hill and
Yeah,
Albert.
Hill and Albert.
If you keep going, it's
Keep
Tinker Hill
going.
Road.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, so you can make a left there, right down the backside of Ronnie's on Hill Street. You can't make a U-turn there. I believe there's a no U-turn sign there. I think it's
no
go
trucks.
all the way up to J. Anthony's to make that.
You can see the bump out there, I think that
I
that's...
see it, but I think there's a no U-turn sign there, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, I thought it was just for trucks. They actually
Oh,
made
maybe.
that turn.
I think you can.
What's the point on that?
That wouldn't comply with what was said here.
Okay.
I don't have the jug handle. You have to read it a little bit and look at it. And then,
Is there any public comment? No? Okay.
Wendy, you can have this back.
Thanks.
I guess I'm curious as to how often that Joanna mentions in the letter is how often that back aisle, that Ron pointed out, is that would actually be used during their peak hours.
Which back aisle?
You mean the parking spaces?
Yeah, the ones that you'd have to go through. The ones that Joanna references in the first bullet point where she says direct vehicles to act. That's what she's referencing, I'm assuming.
So-
The current alignment proposes direct vehicles to exit into a parking aisle. So essentially you're going to come right down there, there'd be cars backing out. But I don't think that would ever be at a point where that aisle would be full because of the peak
On a
hours.
Saturday and Sunday, Nick, it's really,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
packed.
but not
It's
during the
packed.
peak
At
hours
what
of
times, though?
Starbucks. is what they
And not at
do.
the peak hours of Starbucks is what I'm getting at.
Right. They don't open till 11.
11, yeah, Chili's opens at 11.
Starbucks rushes way gone by that.
Especially on a weekend.
But my question, one of my questions is, will you have the drive-through marked? The sign right there at the bottom of the little, yeah. That's on the pavement, correct? Drive-through, take a right?
Correct. And
Are
then-
there gonna be any signs, vertical signs there that tell you to go that
Yeah,
way?
we're showing a sign here when you come in, pointing in that direction, and then a sign there as you make the left, pointing you to go right.
Is there gonna be another one on that island to confirm the right-hand turn?
The next one?
Down below.
Down here.
No, keep going to your left.
Next
where it
Right
sticks out.
here, yep.
We don't show one there, but we certainly could.
So that bottom arrow there is for what?
That's on
As the cars come in, show how, come in.
Yeah, so
You're gonna go
see an
left.
Arrow here, and then that just kind of
Or
reinforces.
that
it.
arrow
Take it
just to
right.
tell them to go around where we're talking about,
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that aisle.
I think this layout addresses more getting the traffic off of Route 20.
It sure does.
And I think we had concerns with the original one about people cutting short and blocking it, and then people couldn't turn in. And I think that this does address that piece of that. And concerns, there are marked stops. If someone runs through the stop, I think that is an offense there anyway. If someone's backing into a car, that's on the driving piece. So I do think they made a pretty good effort to address what we talked about.
Yeah, it's a good effort, but that driving through that parking lot is just crazy. And the engineering and chief of police cannot support the project.
Yeah, Joanna and,
And Chief
Andy.
Sulkus. Yeah. Yep.
Just, without having another letter from the chief, are we just assuming that this is based off of his first letter with the old layout?
No, this is
No,
with the new, we getting
So
the,
both,
sorry.
What's the
both
date?
this layout and the old one he's opposed to?
Right,
Okay, that's Joanna.
yeah, today.
Yeah. What about from Chief Silverstone?
She represents it.
she represents
Liz
this.
feelings.
Okay.
Yep. Yep,
And that
What's it dated,
references
Wendy,
this
today?
updated.
it's dated today, yep.
And it updates that the changes, this is in reference to the change plan. Yeah.
And let me see.
No, I did see the letter, and that there were some things that we could address, the engineering wise. I think she had mentioned some curb radiuses through the lane. That's certainly something we could address. We can run a template through there, whether it's a condition of approval or whatnot. I think the bigger concern is, like we've been talking, is the location of this driveway. We haven't received any suggestions on how this could work. I don't know that I haven't thought of any myself. If we were to move the driveway down, all we're doing is moving that left turn conflict down. To separate the driveways with it in and out, the only way to do that would be to have your out before you're in, and then you're making a conflict on the road from your exiting traffic and your internal traffic. So, I think that
Well, I think you're making the point that this probably isn't the ideal location for a Starbucks drive-through.
But I also see that this was discussed at length. There were traffic studies, the DOT was involved, the planning board was involved. The traffic as projected, trip generation, we've done the memo, it's very similar to what the approved project was.
Well, the other one was for a bank.
Right, but the overall project,
There's a lot less business.
so we're just talking about, but the overall trip generation for the project, we found that the original estimates for the other restaurants were higher than are realizing. So when you add a Starbucks in place of bank, it balances out, and it turns out that the project is similar to what the traffic was thought to be. And that's how the curb cut was laid out. It was, there was discussed at length on the best place to put it, the fact that one curb cut should serve this whole property rather than multiple curb cuts. So, we're not really changing too much.
That was back in 2002, was it?
2006.
2006.
Yep.
And I just think after the road got all done and the other businesses came in, it's just a lot busier, or it's different to some degree than what we anticipated at that time. And to have a letter from Joanna Paquin, who's the town engineer, and from the police chief, and then just ignore it, to me, it's just not right. Especially when, as Nick questioned, it was as of today's date. It wasn't like that they saw the old one, but now if they saw the new one, they might say something different.
Steve, anything further? Nick?
That's probably belaboring the point at this point, but when it was approved in 2002, Ron, do you recall, and it was going to be done as a bank, was that at that point? I mean, obviously,
Then it was going to be what, Nick?
when that was going to be done as a bank, were they still going through that aisle?
I don't recall, Nick.
Yeah.
No, in 2002, you can make a left-hand turn coming east on Route 20.
No, I'm saying when you're coming
Right,
through, when you go through that to go,
That's true.
it was a bank.
None of that work that's out there now was done.
Right.
I just know that we were adamant also
Which would be worse
at
than what it is.
not having the Maple Street egress. We don't like to see anything that flows traffic into a neighborhood, and it's for a business.
Scott?
I don't know, I think you guys have addressed the concerns that we had, especially as far as that egress was. The queue line, I felt from day one, was more than sufficient. And with the off hours, I think it's a good usage of the property. So, this was previously approved for the drive-through property. I think this is substantially similar. The differing property lines don't bother me. I assume that you'd have easements for ingress, egress of vehicles. So I don't take it lightly to go against the engineering department and certainly the police department. I give them a lot of deference, but in this case, I don't agree. I think this is a pretty good looking project, and I think you guys have addressed all the concerns that we have.
Mr. Brooks?
I'm just opposed to it going through that other aisle and that Julie's. I'm not worried about the cross easements. Those were already in place. We approved it then. And then Joanna's statement and the police chief's statement.
John?
There are no comments.
Okay. So, motion to close the hearing.
I'll make- Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve
Did you?
Yeah, I have another.
special permit.
I have another question. This is the plan. I just want to make sure that this is the plan that we would be approving and denying versus the other one, correct?
The plan dated stamped January 7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also with
So,
the conditions of making those turning radiuses acceptable.
Which ones were those?
So when Joanna's comments, and he said he's willing to work with her to get the right turning radiuses in there, I think we can definitely condition it to have those.
If I may, I believe it's these ones here, I think they're 10-foot radiuses. It's a little bit easier to turn on a 15-foot radius, so.
I would assume that's what she was referring to.
Referring to, yep.
But before we go, just curious, and Ron, this is probably just because you're most vocal about it, but is there any solvable way to have it, how often are these parking spots really used? I guess that's my,
Which ones?
these ones that you're talking about where they're going right through the
Will they
parking
go
lot.
through the turn aisle?
Yeah.
Well, even if they weren't used on the right side of the turn aisle, just sit here. Yeah. They'd be definitely, I've gone by
I
there,
see what you're saying.
not during the week, but on the weekends.
Okay.
and or a holiday or a school week's off, and it's packed.
Okay.
And they,
And that would be at
What time it is?
6 cars back, 7 cars back?
What time it is?
Yeah. No, I agree, you know, Thursday, Friday evenings, Chili's uses all that parking lot up to the wider.
Yeah.
But at that time in the evening, that's when Starbucks is at its slowest. You know, they will be circulating through there to get the drive-through, but they won't be queuing back that way, that far.
I mean, that aisle where you got, if you pull in the main entrance and come in, where the cars are parked on the left, if you, I looked at it and I said, it seems conceivable that you could go, have a lane going right up where the cars are, you'd lose the parking spaces, and then sweep right around and contain it on your own property. It should be, it looks like it should be able to be done.
It would be a substantially shorter queue length, and that's the issue that we're fighting against. at
I
least
mean,
from-
you got
I
the
think-
distance from the driveway all the way up and around. The only other queue you got is that you're coming around through, and you're saying you're not gonna have that many people, but now you're saying you don't have enough. I don't see there's not a lot of a difference. You're coming the same distance up, and you're just making the turn a little quicker than you would there. You only probably lose 1.5 cars.
We
Yeah.
talked at the last hearing about the kind of stated Starbucks, requirements for drive-through, and, what we have is way in excess of what they state they need, but we felt we needed to provide it to counterbalance the argument that we were hearing from the police chief, which was those drive-throughs with short queue lengths end up impacting the close-by roadways. We didn't want to do that, so we swung it over another aisle. That way you get 20-plus cars in there. Starbucks says they say a 7's okay, we like 11 cars. We've got, about 20-ish.
So by the time they would be even getting backed up into that aisle, you'd be at what, 7, 8 cars deep at that point?
Yeah, I think it was 7 from...
So if it's only that, why are you concerned that it's a little shorter if you went straight in and took out your parking spaces?
We aren't concerned.
I think the concern
And
originally...
we also said at some point, well, we don't want to be designing it. If, we should say we don't like it, and you guys should go and then come back with some option presented to
Yeah,
us, that we should say, okay, let's look at this.
You know,
And
the one problem with
we
that...
know it goes, you're supposed to wait 2 years to come back, or whatever it is, after you're denied. I would have no problem if you came back every 2 weeks until you got it, but it's just...
So
yeah.
the first time around, though, we talked a lot about queue length, and a concern about queue length, I don't think, we would necessarily have an issue with a shorter queue length, but I think the police chief does, and I think that is a recognized concern.
And what do we do when it doesn't work?
Nothing. You can't put the genie back in the bottle at that point.
And I can, in response to that, we did look at a scenario similar to that. One of the problems is
Turn radius.
It's turning radius and parking. We lose about 10 parking spaces in that configuration. And it's, you're doing a bigger U-turn that just, where can you put a speaker and all that?
Okay,
I have another question.
okay, Joe.
If you're gonna park, you're saying the walk-ins are gonna come in here, you'll go around and park in here, right, and then walk in?
Yes.
Where's the crosswalk?
Well, in this scenario, we've got a crosswalk here, extended out from the front of the building.
Right here.
We
See,
can,
4-foot concrete sidewalk.
we can stripe something in the aisle, if that's what we're talking about.
No, I mean, they
Yeah.
give us drive out here.
Yeah.
I think he's talking about
No,
here.
You're right, there is
I
nothing.
think he's talking about coming across.
I'm talking about walking across the pavement, not the new concrete.
From here to here?
Yeah. Or from island to island, whatever. But
Yeah.
there's no walkway or, provision for pedestrians.
It's one of those things that on the large sites, we usually dedicate crosswalks if there's large expanses of parking spaces. But, even like in Chili's, if you were to park here to get here, you can't really make a route from every space to a sidewalk. So, no matter of 20 feet or, walking down the driveway, we typically don't. put designated blocks in.
Okay.
That it? That's the end of the discussion. Hearing, close the hearing. We've already made the motion, seconded.
Yep.
All those in favor? Close the hearing.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve with the condition.
There's two things here. There's the site plan, there's a special permit.
Okay.
Special permit for approval requires 4 affirmative votes. Could take them separately, would be my recommendation.
We're going to do the special permit first. So the motion for the special permit and the second.
Did we close the hearing?
Close the hearing. I'm looking for a motion for the special permit.
Any conditions you want to add on? If you want to look at the standard conditions, I got the sheet.
So we're going to put the conditions on the special permit.
They go on, there's conditions on both of them.
Both,
They
okay.
often, they may repeat themselves, that's fine.
Okay. Motion for the special permit.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Get that? Okay. The site plan?
Entertain a motion for the site plan approval.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
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 There's a vote. SZLL Realty LLC definitive subdivision plan for 13-lot single-family home development on property located at 178 Hampton Street and 19 Eaton Ave, map 12, parcel 120.
Can I ask you a question?
I only had pink papers.
What's that?
I only had pink papers, so I figured we don't want pink.
He only had pink paper.
You want to sit in the chair?
All right.
No,
Want to swap them and see?
I'm young enough, I really don't think I should complain about my back, so I'm good.
We can try.
All right, so
Aye.
Upside down.
I get kids, it's-
This one,
Where they start.
Nick,
So we're here for an update, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Great. All right, please state your name and
Sure. So Donald O'Neill, lawyer with the office in Worcester, here this evening on behalf of SCLL Realty LLC, Suffolk.
give us,
And also Joe Graham, who's done the engineering, and Bob O'Neill, who's done the survey work on the project. We do have a response to a narrative response to some of the comments that came in from the review engineer, and had made revisions to the plans, and thought that Mr. Graham could maybe just kind of run through those, or as directed by the board if you've got particular focus, but he could, I guess, explain what he's done and...
sure, give us an update. And
Sure.
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Okay, so it's been a little bit between the last time we were here and this evening. But mainly, most of the comments that we got back from Graves, and I realize they're probably just reviewing this now, and we'll expect some back and forth and discussion. But many of the comments required some coordination between the stormwater report as well as the design plans. Since then, we've updated some of the grading and the basin size in order to account for different soil conditions that were out on the site. And I think last time we were here, there was more discussion on the Vesper Street access. So we were able to kind of change around the grading a little bit in order to make, actually kind of lowering the detention basin in order to account for some of those concerns. One of the big comments, I guess, Hampton Street has a 8-inch existing water line. This project, we're proposing to come into that existing 8-inch water line, add a T and gate valves, and extend new water service down Eaton Ave and into our proposed subdivision, dead ending at the end of the cul-de-sac with a hydrant and a blow-off. I think one of the comments had us coordinating that between different sheets, so we were able to illustrate that and provide an updated detail of how we're going to connect into that existing 8-inch water line on the street. One item that we'll be seeking clarification on from Graves, it was just that we're proposing a roadway, a swale along this side, which is the downhill side, and as they're coming downgrade here in this roadway. So our goal is to limit water flow onto the roadway from this area. And I'm not sure if it was a legibility issue or just a miscommunication issue on both of our parts, but they had some questions regarding that, and so that comment will still have to flesh out. I'm not sure there's some TSS type removal calculations that go along with swales, and if they are expecting us to, or they're asking us to change those calculations. But once we get that updated, we'll be providing a revised stormwater report that addresses that, and we'll just have to coordinate that between this revision.
Excuse me one
Sure.
minute, Mr. Burke.
From Hampton Street, obviously you're putting all your driveways in off your new road, your cul-de-sac road. What is the elevation of Hampton Street versus like when you come down that bank and then you'll flatten out and like what would be the backyard of the houses?
Sure, so
How big of a lift is that?
from say like the front here,
Right, it'll change because it's not equal all the whole length of the project, but
sure.
just an average, like is it 12, 14 feet?
Yeah, it's a little more than, I would say this one's 588 is the roadway grade to 610, so it's like maximum.
22 feet?
Yeah, between those.
And what's one that's right near the cul-de-sac there, the big lot
Sure.
right before the...
Sure, this one is kind of a steeper one. Yeah, this is 620 to 580, that's about 40.
40 feet drop,
40.
drop to the backyard.
Yep.
So that banking has probably got a little bit of a radius to it, I'm not sure. But how are you going to account for that water flow that comes off Hampton Street? Because there's not a lot of sanitary stormwater basins there to accept it, that get it off. It probably just ran off the side of the road and down.
Yeah, that is a good point. We can add more of a leveling area, and our primary objective was in between the house lots. There's kind of a grading in a swale into here that would feed into this swale on the roadside swale.
What's it going to be, a swale with riprap?
In certain areas where the grade is steep, we'll have to add some riprap.
That always looks not nice
Here we
in
go
a
again.
development. We have other developments where we have nothing but problems with that.
Right. The water that's going on to other people's property is
Property.
just,
And then it would be, my concern would be if we go down and into your road,
especially with a 40-foot drop.
would go into your new road, and you can probably account for stormwater there, have adequate amounts of them that would come in and then go back down Eaton Ave onto Southbridge. Or tie into existing stormwater on Eaton, if there is any. I'm not even sure if there's any.
There's
gotta be
some,
something
yeah, there's some existing stormwater further on this end.
towards the Southbridge Street.
Yeah, we're not proposing to extend it because Eaton Ave is pretty steep.
So when your stormwater comes off of your development street,
Yep.
where is it gonna go? To the detention pond?
Yes, so we're proposing to pitch everyone, for that reason, to pitch everything here So everything runs down this road and goes into.
Down into that pond. What's the difference in elevation at the cul-de-sac and then the pond?
So the bottom of the pond is at 530 and the top is at, in the cul-de-sacs at 584.
50 or 60 feet.
60 feet.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have all the water that would come off of Hampton Street going down into the, it's gotta go someplace, and it's
Correct.
gonna go into, say, your road, and then down into the detention pond. It seems like it might have to be a considerable sized pond, and then where does it go from the detention pond?
So after everything settles out and the pond's adequately sized to capture, certain rainfall events, it then, through a controlled overflow, flows into the existing wetlands as it naturally did prior to development. Is our
Right,
intent.
but after development, it's
Yes, after
there's gonna be a
development.
lot more water, because it all would have been absorbed equally throughout the whole project in the wooded area, and now it's gonna be all directed into that wetlands. I mean, do you account for, can it accept it?
Yes, that's part of in the stormwater report and sizing of the basin that we had put together with the test pit information to adequately judge the soil.
It's equally as much for us as it is for you building the project,
Correct.
because you'll be having washouts all over.
Correct.
And, we have to make sure that we protect those that are gonna be living there and those that are downhill from that.
Correct. So I think last time we discussed to the point of people down slope, we've proposed, and it's in the other sets, but this is just the grading of swales. There's a swale that runs along the back here that flows into the basin, and a swale that captures anything down here. So runoff on the downhill sides of the houses are also captured and pulled into the basin.
Where is Vespa coming in at the bottom? Is that it right in the middle, right there?
Right up here. So that will be this is the proposed access road
To the detention
to the
pond?
detention basin, yeah, in order to service it and clean it and maintain it. So,
One other question.
Sure.
That wetlands area, how far off Southbridge Street is that, would you say? Probably 400 feet, maybe, 300 feet?
yeah, yep. Yeah, we can kind of see the low lying actually from your, it's kind of sorry, oh, I thought it was a touchscreen. In this area, you can see that low lying, different vegetation.
Excuse me, yeah, these lots actually front on Southbridge, so it's the back of these lots here. So that's a fair estimate.
It's in the back of that big white roof there? Is that,
Yeah.
Shepherd envelope.
used to make the shopping carts and the bread plate? Yeah, that's where that is. Because the middle lot next door, that's where the landscaping guy is,
Yep.
I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
change the truck and auto. This is another nightmare.
And what, in the beginning of your road, as you go in, I see that going towards the other houses, if you pulled in and you look, you're right on you pull in 50 feet, yeah, right there,
Yep.
and you're looking down, then the next house, it's like rolls down onto a big piece of ledge that goes right, I mean, how are you gonna protect that you're not directing any water
here?
into those, those
Yeah, from
people's
here going this
property?
way, I guess you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah, we would, the grades actually kind of work out. These are 2-foot contours here, so you kind of lose some of the smaller grading, but it kind of works out. This swale ties in. This is actually the easement where the proposed sewer tie-in is. The sewer is servicing from this house and these lots along an easement down to this point, and running down this way. So
And out that little ledge
and out-
there,
Yep. And out
onto
this-
Eaton?
Correct. And connecting into this existing sewer. So it would be grading that area in order to account for that. One item that came up, I think, in the review is we're proposing granite curbing throughout. I think there was some discrepancies between one of the details and the construction plans showing asphalt berm versus granite curbing, but we are proposing granite curbing throughout.
On both sides?
Correct, on both sides.
All the way around the cul-de-sac?
Yep. And another item that was brought up during the review is there's an existing, large existing tree over in this area. Unfortunately, we looked at the ability to try to save that tree. We've added the location of that to our existing conditions plan, but we're unable to save that tree in order to access the sewer manhole and tie in. Just because of where the manhole is. If the manhole was further down the street, we would be able to adjust the connection point. Well, that was the bulk of the comments. There were some typo errors for some of the drainage that we've adjusted. There was one pipe that showed a wrong slope of like 27%, which obviously is not an adequate slope. So there were things like that.
And the driveway's coming down off of Hampton Street, what's the,
Yep, so these sit about level with Hampton Street, up in this area. Actually, the grade comes up where we're able to...
so you're gonna grade it up so that the house sits up
Yeah,
higher?
correct.
Instead of coming down?
Correct, because we're trying to avoid issues of...
They'll come right in off Hampton and their driveway will almost be even and going into the garage.
Yeah.
They'll have open cellars.
Yep, yeah, walkout, yeah, basement. We're trying to avoid either, runoff from Hampton Street entering into, the garage.
What do you think is the biggest drop in that area?
Definitely this building has a...
You had one there at about 40 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
But then to the right, those that have the access off Hampton,
Yep.
what do you think is the drop, the biggest drop that you're gonna, as it exists now?
About 15, 16 feet.
Oh, so that's still,
It's still, right, a stepped foundation, but,
Yeah, because that makes sense. If you put the driveways like this, then anytime it rained, it's gonna
Right in.
fill the driveway up,
and also
garage up.
we're worried about, sightline issues if a car is sitting trying to pull out.
Yeah.
Back out too. Or back out, yeah.
Back out, yeah.
So you had just mentioned the sloping of the driveways, the ones that are on the cul-de-sac on the north side. What is the grading at the bottom of that? How do you intend for any runoff to be captured instead of going across the street?
So yeah, these driveways, these are accounted for because we're pitching the road down. Any runoff from the driveway, so the driveway is crowned, so it should flow to the sides and flow into that swale. But
Flow to the sides or
Yeah,
to a side?
to either side of the driveway, right? So this, I guess, so this driveway here, I guess is a good example, is crowned, so I'll just mark it up. So water will go either way, off the driveway.
Off the driveway instead of...
As it's flowing, right, as it's flowing down. into
how does the swell get under the driveway where it intersects the street? You have it piped?
Correct. We've proposed 15-inch, I think it's ADS.
You show it, but you don't identify it on the plan.
Okay.
It's not in the plan I looked at anyway.
Okay.
So any
Yeah, plus
surface
the plan is so
runoff
small, you
will
can barely figure
not
out
run
what's
off the
going on,
bottom,
so.
it runs off the side.
Yeah,
So-
and it will run into that swale, and if there is something that runs onto the road, we'll say, the road is pitched towards the back of the cul-de-sac. So it'll flow, and we have catch basins spaced along the roadway in order to gather that. There's catch basins proposed here, here, and then down at the bulb in order to capture that.
Just remember all the heavy rains and everything just flowing right over it. I don't know if crowning that is gonna stop rain from just shooting right through. It's like a big giant slide.
You're gonna have a fine line between finishing, seeding, getting growth, asphalting and all of it all together before you get into some, because as I said, we've had some other areas and they've been a disaster.
Yeah, definitely staging of the erosion controls will play a key point in this project. We have proposed several lines of erosion controls as it goes down the hill, but yeah, a site of this magnitude will take a continuous kind of upkeep as every rain event. We're not proposing any temporary stormwater basins at this point. We did look at that, but it didn't look like it didn't look like it was going to help any situation more than having those compost filter tubes or erosion controls periodically spaced.
And the whole area's been cleared, correct?
Yes, I believe it was cleared sometime last year for the most part.
Adam, has Bill looked at this at all, and Joanna?
They have received the plans. They have not received any comments. I don't know if they've looked at them. The last plans I received. I am going to ask Graves to do a thorough review of it. I'm going to check in with them to see what the third review is going to cost so we can get that covered.
Because in one of the other sites, which isn't this, we had a condition where all the sewers, all the drains got plugged that went in people's cellars, and the town had to pay to clean it all up, and the developer was involved too. It was a nightmare
Still is.
on 2 or 3 occasions, and yeah, it's still there.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. Yeah, we obviously don't want this to happen here. We can, I believe. Did you meet with Bill at the beginning of
Actually,
this?
I'm sorry, Bob O'Neill. It was actually Bill's idea to provide that swale in the front, and I don't know if Graves.
Yeah, the purpose of got missed.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on some of these plans with the grades so tight.
Yeah.
So.
You said you did some soil samples. Did it come up as clay?
It did not, no. So we took a test pit over by...
He went down in this
Towards
area.
the bottom?
Yeah, in the basin area.
Yeah, the top of the hill should be, it's always been known as a hill of clay. It's Packagug means hill of water, so, and it's mostly clay. You might find gravel or something towards the bottom. You would tend to,
No, it's good to know. We do see, rock outcroppings, right? I think now that the site is clear, you can see stuff like that. So we do believe that there's some more site work than I think originally when it was still full of trees and stuff.
Does anyone in the audience want to have anything to say this evening?
Yes.
Just review, but
Okay.
Sure. Say your name, please.
My name is Trisha Woolbridge. I live on 15 Gibson Road. I'm an abutter to the Hampton Street houses. And actually I was able to, thank you, I was able to go over the plans and so I have some very specific questions on that. One with the, and my, do you want me to stay here or?
Wherever you want to point to the map, go ahead.
So our house is right about here. Also, that's also our property now, so for update purposes. But with our current conditions, and again, I do gardening and all that, it's all clay. So if you're going up, it's going to be all clay. It's also shale, so we are very limited in, and so we go up, so we know what that land is like. It's clay and shale. So digging is going to be a very difficult thing. Runoff is already a problem. If anyone were to drive down Gibson Road tonight, your car would be almost up to its rims in mud. It is pure ice. It was pure ice when we had a freeze. So removing any of the vegetation and the soil is going to be a very, very big concern because we already have water running through our basement.
Is this a new development?
This
or
was
is
after the last one that we went through back in 2012 and 2013.
The last what?
When they were building up on Gibson Road. And,
Those houses with the drop-off?
Yes, and that was also what I was going to talk about is with that drop-off, there's been nothing but problems with those houses
How
now.
many more houses went in there?
They haven't finished the newest one
Yeah.
because they can't deal with
Because
the grade.
it's just, yeah.
And being directly below that is why I'm really, really, really concerned about the houses on Hampton Street. Because if they're going to be leveling off those driveways, that means that house, and if you look at this, every 2 feet. So the butt of that house is gonna be between 10 and 15 feet up, like up over our house. Which also really messes with visibility too. So that is, and so being able to hold that up and not have it slide down when we already have enough of an issue of sliding down is something I'm very, very concerned about, as is digging any deeper into the shale. And I've mentioned in prior meetings, we've had damage from blasting from 20 years ago. So that was, and they went bankrupt and we couldn't do anything. So those are things that I'm very, very concerned about. Also, with the water runoff, looking at where this is and how close it is to the wetlands, just seeing how much water gets retained on our property alone. And again, it flows. You can see it like rivers and streams. So with less vegetation, with less soil to absorb it, I would also worry that it's going to be a much higher projected amount of rainwater, amount of water, amount of runoff than what is planned for. And I do worry that that's going to affect the wetlands because it just is so close to it too. So not only are you getting just the regular runoff from the roads, you're having more people, more garbage, and all of that. So those are all things that I'm very concerned about.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you, yes?
Yeah. Lynn Pearson. I'm at 172 Hampton Street, so I'll be right next to that first parcel on Hampton Street. Everything she said, and I'm certainly not an engineer, but I know my driveway was not made level with Hampton Street. I do have a real concern with, so we're talking about completely filling to make those driveways level with Hampton Street.
At the front, yeah, at the front of the driveway, there'll be some fill in order to bring up the grade, but we are proposing to step the foundations in order to minimize earthwork and minimize those excavations.
Yeah, my house too is a basement is a walkout as well, and it certainly isn't as large a foot drop off from Hampton to my street, and I'm a walkout. But these, I have a real concern. I even had erosion with my driveway, and there wasn't a lot of fill. There was some fill that they had to put in. I guess the land that my house is built on, it was 2001. There had been fill being put in there from when the road was being constructed. They found all kinds of stuff in the property anyway. But I had a lot of erosion after the driveway from water underneath and caused a sinkhole in my driveway. So I'm concerned kind of for the people that might be buying those houses, but also for Tricia, who's right behind there, and the water, and what's going to happen when that erosion starts. Because, how long do you let fill sit before you start building on it, I guess, and how settled is it? So that's a real concern for me. Did they do the conservation study on the wetlands in back there?
I'm not sure, I'd have to look that up to confirm.
Have you been to Concom? No. Okay.
Okay. And just a quick question, where the retaining areas for the water runoff, which is near the wetlands, there's the wetlands, and then there's the soft buffer, and then the 100-foot buffer. Just if somebody can explain, because the 100-foot buffer goes right through the middle of the retainage area. Just curious how that plays into it, and the overflow, is directed, again, like right into the wetlands area.
And that's
there
something
as
that the
well.
conservation, that's not under our purview, but the Conservation
Okay.
Commission.
They would be looking at that?
Will be looking at that.
Okay.
Yeah, they need to get in front of the Conservation Commission and have the plan reviewed with them as well, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's it.
I guess I'll, if I missed something, please remind me. So both the excavation and the backfill, we don't, and the indication from the test pits that we did is that the soil, we wouldn't preload, I think is what is typically what you call it, if you're building on a site and you're expecting the soil to settle. We'll use more like gravelly types of soils and more with a stone that is what's called free draining to allow water to pass through and allows for compaction. So hopefully, the goal is to not have the sinkhole issue. That's very unfortunate.
But that would allow more water to go through then.
That will allow water, to continue its normal route.
But not be absorbed by the plants and the roots and...
Not, it would go at its typical normal pace for that area and for our soils in this area, not being retained and held back, which would present a bigger issue than being allowed to kind of continue on its normal path towards the wetlands. But I don't think it would be anywhere faster or slower than is what's typical.
So a couple of things for your information.
Yeah.
Conservation Commission, but also there'll be a peer review by Graves Engineering, which will calculate 100-year storms and that kind of thing to do the calculations as far as the amount of water and in a worst-case scenario.
And the goal is to actually treat our storm runoff and get it towards the wetlands. That's actually the goal of doing the stormwater design in this way. In order to, the point is to keep the water flowing in its normal path and allow for recharge into the groundwater through which we illustrate through the calculations, and which we'll update and pull in with the plans for Graves.
Okay. Steve, anything?
Okay.
Nick?
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Brooks? John?
Yeah, I got a couple questions.
Sure.
Can you show me where the swale is on the downhill side of the downhill houses are?
Sure, you can see it in this in the grading. I have it on other sheets, but
I don't see a swale in the grading.
Where that handle?
It's, yeah.
Swale.
So you can see the grade kind of returns back, and there's a flat spot on. I can show you one. I'll drop this. Just going up the next page. This one. So there's this swale, this proposed stone line swale, and on both sides in order to make sure that we're not changing any of the or having water run off in areas where we don't
But if you go back to your contour plan,
Sure.
and you look at the detention pond,
Yep.
just above to your left, where you have the swale that's heading right to the other property? No, to your left.
Yep.
Up, go up.
This.
Up the page, yes, that goes right to the other property.
So this is this is the access road. This is like the limit of the
Right here, John.
proposed access road. It is coming uphill in order to access this basin. There is a grade change coming up here.
Right, but any water coming down that hill is gonna hit that access road and run right out onto Vesper Street. Because that's where your slope is.
Yep. So we above this hill, and we can adjust the stone line channel, but above this is relatively the limits of the channel that will capture this.
Yeah, I just don't see it on the contour plan where your drainage swale is gonna be. That's the constant picture all the way down the hill.
Correct. And then this is going to traverse the hill and collect from here, anything from the roadway.
Yeah, but wouldn't you have to show that in your contour lines? To show the drainage swell, you don't.
Okay.
I don't think you do.
It can, what I'll do is typically on the other sheets, you can indicate the bottom of the drainage swale by the dash lines and to help delineate that.
Well, you put the peaks in the contour lines.
Yep.
And then, the reason for not cutting down the trees because that sewer manhole isn't up the road far enough, or it's up the road too far?
It is up the road too far.
So how much room between, where's the tree?
The tree is on the existing conditions plan, right about here.
Okay, so how far from that to the property line do you have, going to the top?
This way?
Yep.
I can get that actual measurement. Roughly, there's 50 feet.
50 feet?
Call it, yeah, on the other side of the tree.
It's a pretty simple solution. Add another manhole downstream from the dead end manhole. You can save the tree for a cost of about $2,000.
That's, yeah, that's, we can make that alter if that's needed, yeah.
And as far as, Ron brought up a good point, and Wendy did too, about the riprap swales, especially in front of the houses, on the lower part, well, the Hampton Street side of the cul-de-sac road. Did you ever think about paving the swale?
Yeah, we prefer not to pave the swale, just because that doesn't allow for as much recharge in that area, as if we kept it,
Riprap.
yeah, a riprap or a stone.
Yeah, but based on the soils that are there and it's clay, it's not gonna recharge anyway. It's gonna run underneath the riprap.
Yep. We'll also be able to kind of slow down the water as it makes its, or they call it attenuate the water, so we're slowing it down as it makes its route in order into the basin. And the riprap helps kind of hang it up as it and slows it down. But we can look at other options that would maybe.
And I would never crown a driveway. I would slope it to one side or the other. I would slope those driveways toward the cul-de-sac, because that's the way your road's being pitched. You're never gonna get a driveway 12 feet wide crowned. It's not gonna happen.
John, I think the plan we have is not the plan they're showing up there as well. I think some of the
I'm
details.
looking exactly what they have up there.
So that's a 1/12 revision date, and mine is saying 12/6.
I got new plans
I don't have a revision date on this one.
today.
I'm looking at exactly the whole line of the
Are these the plans that
elevations
came
on
in
the
today?
contour lines,
Yeah, I got those.
where the
plans here.
manhole is.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying some of the swell that he just pointed out there is not on.
It's not on that plan either.
Well, what he was pointing to.
I know, but it's not on there.
Okay.
The grade and the contour is not in there showing the swale. It just shows a steady slope down the hill into the next property. You show a swale just to the left of the detention pond that goes down to Vesper Street, where the access road is. Correct?
There's a cutback on.
Yeah,
on
that's
this roadway.
going to be your access road.
Yeah, in order.
That's how you draw a swale as well, Steve.
Okay.
Only it's got steeper lines. Comes to a point more curved.
There's still some work to be done, no doubt.
And my other question is on the driveways that hit Hampton Street, how far below is going to be finished floor of the garage, if there is a garage, compared to the elevation at the edge of Hampton Street? What's the slope on that?
The goal is to keep them pretty level with Hampton Street, so we're not allowing water to flow into the garage, because,
No, it wouldn't be good. That was going to be my question.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to keep it without filling that quite a bit, because,
16 feet.
yeah, you got,
Which was the point that she was making
Yep.
about all the fill.
I'm trying to see what, you got one, trying to see what the damn elevation is.
6:30 to 6:18.
It goes 6:10 to 6:20.
Yeah. When we receive the architectural plans, if the garage layout changes or if there's not a proposed garage. Right now, we're proposing a garage, but we haven't received the architectural
And
plans.
the alternative is to put a trench drain in front of the garage.
Correct.
15 feet.
Then you get that.
Is that?
Yeah, yeah.
There's no avoiding it.
No, there isn't.
Coming
The
somewhere.
water is gonna go where it's gonna go. So,
You have a tough site, so you gotta get inventive.
yep.
Yep.
It's,
We realize Graves, has done a good review and it's been good to work with us so far. So, if there's anything, we'll provide the updated stormwater report that coincides with the plans.
All right.
Yeah.
When is it going for peer review?
I spoke to Jeff Walsh at Graves this afternoon. Yeah, he's gonna pick up the plans probably as soon as tomorrow. Working on how much the increased cost will be, go from there. So hopefully we'll have something back from him next couple of weeks.
Okay. And do you guys have a set date with conservation, or no?
I wanted to take this one step at a time.
Okay. Is it usually best to have the peer review done before you go to Concom? They can make
They would
adjustments,
defer
or?
to us.
They would defer to us, okay.
So now we defer to that.
Yeah, we do defer to them on this one. All right, well, thank you for the updates. There's no other questions, or continue?
Do you want to do January 28th, or do you want to put it out a month?
Yeah, I forget what the submittal requirements are for the January 28th. I thought it was like next week, right?
Yeah.
Well, the next meeting is the 28th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would need you would need any additional information, would have to be a week before the
Yeah,
meeting?
until next Thursday.
Yeah.
Is that,
Up to you, yeah.
The next meeting would be February 11th.
okay. So yeah, if we could,
We'll schedule for the 28th, and then you can't make it?
Yeah.
Just put you on
Continue
the-
it.
on February 11th.
okay,
Okay.
all right, that'd be
There's a
great.
motion to continue to January 28th.
I'll make that second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you. All right, proposed zoning bylaw changes, new town meeting, dimensional regulation, purpose amendment, to bylaws. So that's what that is the article to see if town meeting will vote to remove the following chapters, that these are duplicates?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I've already conferred with the fire chief on the general hazardous materials. It's a duplicate, there's no need for us to have that twice. It's not really our jurisdiction anyway, it's your jurisdiction.
What about the earth removal regulations? That's a duplication of,
Yes, and actually the regulation, the bylaw in the general bylaws is more up to date than the zoning.
okay,
Same with the earth removal as well, earth removal and earth fill.
stormwater management and chapter stretch energy.
Special energy code has nothing to do with planning board, that's a duplicate also.
Okay,
I am going to confer with DPW on this from water to make sure that they are indeed straight duplicates and we want to remove the zoning. That's still ongoing, but I want to bring this to your attention before we actually get into the whole public hearing aspects of town meeting. So just that particular proposal is just kind of cleaning up the zoning bylaws, as well as the article dealing with section 1 authority and purpose. That's just striking kind of dated language. The red is adding more modern zoning language. That's pretty straight. But as well as correcting a typo in the sign bylaw that was overlooked whenever that was passed several years ago.
okay.
And then questions on those two?
Nope, not from me. Anybody have questions on those?
I've had ample time to ask questions about these. I've had ample time to ask questions about these too.
The spreadsheet, by the way, the zoning bylaw review committee looked at these three and didn't really have any substantial comments that can speak to that if you'd like to. The spreadsheet here, there's changes to the maximum height allowance. We're looking to change it from 25 feet to allow 50 feet with a special permit in highway business, and from 35 feet.
So 50 feet is what, 4?
5 stories.
5 stories? 4 to 5, right?
To give you kind of a
Aren't they
image
usually
that
13 feet?
10 feet a story.
Okay, 10 feet, okay. 3 to 5 story, all right.
this would also change the general industry IA and IP from 35 to 50 with a special permit. The hotel, across from Dunkin' Donuts on Southbridge Street, is 45 feet, if you want an example of what approximately that building would look like.
Okay.
So it's not, my opinion, excessively tall. It's kind of blends in. It's all built out. All the landscaping kind of blends in, at least in my opinion. And this will allow more diversity of
Other
business.
types of, development.
Types to be proactive.
Yep,
Zoning.
yep.
Special permits still come before us.
These would go to ZBA. Unless we can,
Which it would be
unless
good if we
could
were all on the
specify
same
planning board,
page,
but
right? All of us being on the same page would be good, yeah. I still have a hair across my butt about that house down in the back of the post office, so.
The one where the yard drains into the post office
Post office parking lot,
Oh,
yeah.
you mean you don't think the fence makes it look better?
You don't think what?
You don't think the fence makes it look
Makes it
better?
look better, yeah.
No, it wasn't an improvement.
They just built.
It just, Bob told me to go look at that. Your uncle.
Well aware of
Just,
this.
I mean,
I'm well aware.
It's like half the parking spaces are out because you can't, you're walking in water. Probably up to 6-7 inches at some
It's like
point.
half of T&E. It was short,
Yeah.
but...
I'm sorry, we digress.
We can't
sorry
do
to
that.
all.
It just was so
Who owns the
fast.
post office land, the same guy?
Scott,
Because you
Okay.
can't shed water like that on somebody else's property.
So are you looking for an,
that's what these guys.
This is just merely
discussion.
informational discussion. I want to bring it to your attention,
Like,
just so you're aware of what's being proposed. This will have to go through the whole town meeting process where it goes to the planning board would send it to Board of Selectmen, Board of Selectmen would send it back to planning board for public hearing. Yes, I know. Then you make your public recommendation and public hearing, that goes to town meeting, so this is probably, that process will probably start in April depending on the date of town meeting. But I wanted to present these ahead of time, and there's also at least 2 more proposals coming. The zoning table and descriptions are currently being reviewed by zoning bylaw review committee. It's basically a full rewrite and modernizing the uses, eliminating uses that just plain don't exist anymore. Kind of make more sense.
Sure.
But
Can we invite all them to bylaw review if they
Yeah,
want
they
to
should all
give
come.
a comment? I think more voices would be helpful.
Yes.
Quorum would be helpful. A quorum would be helpful as well.
Don't tempt me.
There's
I
always
got nothing
that.
else to do.
So next
You're
meeting, I'll
welcome.
bring the table of uses, then you can start just reviewing it. Just again, it's more just for your information, so you're well aware of what's going on.
now minimum lot frontage?
Yeah.
Square feet or lineal feet?
Lineal.
Then it says square feet on there.
There's a lot
Should say
going on
linear
with those regulations, and I don't like a lot of them. So, but,
Yeah, but it should say lineal feet,
Oh, yeah,
not
yeah,
square
right.
feet.
yeah, so maybe we can tweak that language, but
That's an awful.
Well, the
See how
front
much you already
setback,
open?
is that from the edge of right of way or edge of pavement?
you can, that's some of the issues that we deal with. There may be in the future more changes to propose to this table because I don't like it personally. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, with a lot of the changes in the way that they're approaching development too, could be reflected.
Yes, those, the way land use is today is not the same as it was 40 years ago.
That's right,
So,
yeah.
Times,
I
these
was
things
just
should
reading a really
be
good article
updated
on that,
periodically.
too. Okay, all right. Minutes, November 12th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as is for November 12th.
Second?
Any additional comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
December 10th,
I make the motion to approve the minutes as amended.
okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Any new business, Adam, besides?
Just a quick update.
Yep.
We've submitted a request for district local technical assistance. It's going for CMRPC Thursday night. Rachel's been good enough to volunteer to go along with Shannon Regan. Great
Volunteer, no. Yeah, okay.
We're looking to get some funding to do a conceptual redesign of Goddard Park. Goddard Park, if you haven't been out there lately, it's not in the best of shape. It looks all run down. The idea is for CMLPC to redesign it, make it more accessible, maybe design a bridge to connect the library to the park so it can get some access, some foot traffic, maybe some kind of boat launch. There's all sorts of
Oh,
options.
right, we had talked about that before.
With the boat
Yeah.
launch?
They should have tunnel boats over
Boat
there.
launch
Yeah,
onto
I know,
Alpin
yeah.
Pond from Goddard Park.
Yeah.
Is that Mirror Pond?
Concessions.
There'll be multiple public hearings to get this. So this is going to be hopefully decided Thursday. If the board is interested, they could take a vote to support the proposal, the project. I think that would
Should
probably
we get the
good.
money?
Rachel could bring that
Should we
to-
get the assistance, I mean? Yeah.
No, well, yeah, get the assistance, yeah.
Okay, then we'll make a motion to support that, or do you want us to do that now? Make a motion to support?
You can do a motion to support that now and we get the assistance to commit to the project.
For a motion to support the seeking the DLTA assistance.
Make that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote.
All right, thank you.
Awesome.
Adam, any update quick maybe on the Albert Street?
Yes, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Julie and I met with Eastern Partners yesterday. They received their LIP, their local initiative plan from the state. They got that approval.
For the
They're looking
40B?
to submit, sorry?
For the 40B?
Yep. They're looking to submit to ZBA the comprehensive permit in as less than 6 weeks. So it could be coming fairly soon, that comprehensive permit. 6 weeks, maybe a little optimistic on, but that's the kind of the timeline they're looking for.
In the meantime, are they still running a quarry operation up there?
They are supposed to be done blasting and for the most part digging. They've kind of closed down operations for the winter, from what I understand. Graves is doing construction inspections. They started last month. They're going to be doing that ongoing for the foreseeable future. DPW does not have the capacity to do it, so Graves will be monitoring any construction.
So I wonder at what point do they convert the 5 lots into, or whatever they're
As soon
gonna
as
do
they
with
get
it?
the, yeah, they've got the first step, right?
They'll be
Yeah.
rescinding that and we'll be voting
Yeah.
to approve another,
300
wherever they're gonna
units.
place all, how many?
That
300.
project won't come to this board.
No, they don't need our authorization.
It's already been approved by the state.
State,
They-
it's 40B.
They go to the ZBA for the comprehensive permit. So
And then just build.
they'll have to follow their part of the construction inspection schedule we designed, and they'll have to follow the building permit. So Caleb Moody will be busy, his building inspector.
So with the electrical inspector, the plumbing inspector.
All of the inspectors, yeah. I believe, if I recall correctly, I read up on the 2 school projects, those were peer reviewed. So I would assume that we would be having Graves review their plans also. And if they're gonna be doing the
The
construction
2 what?
inspection.
School? Oh, with the 40B?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's not these guys doing it though.
yeah,
It is Eastern Partners?
yes.
Doing Mary D. and
Oh,
Julia
no,
Bancroft?
those are Penrose.
Yeah,
Oh,
somebody
all right.
else.
Yeah.
It's gonna be housing
Yeah, I
for
was
the
like,
elderly.
whoa.
Is Mary D. scheduled to be housing for the elderly?
Yes.
And JB too, right?
And JP. So we're hoping to hear on Mary D next week or two, whether they got funding for this particular round. And they're sending the application in for JB soon, if they haven't already. So hopefully we'll get this one next door going this year, would be ideal.
Nice.
For the elderly would be nice.
Yeah. So there's lots of stuff going
Is
on.
that state or federal funding that's going to rehab those?
I believe it's a bit of both, if I'm
A
not
little bit of
mistaken.
both, so it's kind of the same as the setup up on Packagug. We have state and federal
I
housing.
believe, I could be mistaken on that, but I believe it's both.
So with that 40B, can they put on the existing, I can't remember how much land they had altogether, but they only cleaned up a certain, or are they just gonna go in and drill more and clean more and make more flats to put all the places in? Because I don't see how they can put them where they got them. Oh, they could probably fit a lot in that.
They're putting apartment buildings in.
Yeah.
And where the subdivision is, those are still gonna be the subdivision, the duplexes. The 40B is gonna be set back, so my assumption is they're gonna have to extend that road back somehow. So I would think they would need to modify the subdivision without seeing actual plans or knowing what they're actually gonna be doing.
That's under our purview,
Hmm?
the subdivision.
Yep. And so the certain amount of that housing has to be affordable,
It's
Correct.
gonna be 25%.
25%.
So that'll bring the town
Nearly
pretty
10.
close to 10%, which is what the state threshold is.
Once you reach 10%, they can't make you do it.
Yep. So maybe
And
this will be the one
it's
that'll get us
affordable
there.
housing, it's not Section 8.
But someone else could come with
Yeah,
a
it's
40B
not-
project and they couldn't
It's
deny
not
it.
Section 8.
Yeah, it's not what people think.
No.
It's so far from it.
What?
Affordable housing. is
Affordable
rated
housing is
Section
not,
No, the affordable
people's
rate.
preconceived
No,
notions.
rate-
no.
Not.
Yeah,
Right.
the affordable
What
rate
what do
for
you
one-
mean? It's
No,
low.
it's
It's expensive.
You wouldn't know
Go
it.
ahead, Adam.
The affordable rate for a one-bedroom unit at the 40B
It's
is
not.
over $1,200.
It's not affordable.
For a
It is
one-bedroom.
affordable,
but
one
it's
bedroom
not
for the affordable rate.
Jesus,
It's not fully
$1,200.
subsidized.
Deed
It's-
restrictions involved.
The people have
Did
to
you
pay
hear that,
some.
Ronnie? A one-bedroom's
Is that rental or
$1,200 a
buy?
month.
Rental.
That's
Correct.
affordable.
Must be
About
one
1,400
gigantic
for
bedroom.
Sorry?
Must be one gigantic bedroom for $1,200 that's mortgage payment.
Huh?
Are these gonna be apartments or block condos? Or don't we know?
Some 40B.
I think they're gonna be apartments, but
Some places you buy apartments like a condo.
I think they're looking to straight rent at this point.
Wow.
Wait till they see what they get if they sell them.
All right, is there anything else?
I don't think so.
Entertain a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.